Welcome, everyone.
Good morning. Happy Friday. I love it. It's all ladies. Ladies, it's like Ladies
Sure.
Friday. I think it's some gentlemen too.
If anyone wants to join us on camera, you can do so using the video button in the bottom left-hand corner. Also, feel free to unmute yourselves throughout the webinar. You can do that with the little microphone button there in the bottom left-hand corner.
Jennifer.
Hi,
Good
Jennifer.
morning, Jennifer. Hi,
Good to see you.
Cindy. Hi, Mariana. And Erica and Gwendolyn and Dana.
And Cindy is here. Cindy Wright. Nice to see you.
Hello.
Hi. Do you have your camera or no?
I do.
I could pick on you just because I know you and Lily.
I know.
We've known each other a few years.
Yes, we have.
Hi, Cindy. Good to see you. I've heard a lot about you.
Great work.
Thank you.
We're giving people, for those of you who are joining, we're just giving people a few minutes to get here.
Might be a nice time to do a little vibe check. Just how's everybody doing this morning?
People happy it's Friday?
Yes, and Gabby, I love your porch.
Oh, thank you.
Do you know what color the paint is that you did your ceiling on? I love it. I want to replicate it.
Wow, I don't, but I'll find out. It's been a few years. I can find out. I know the
It
guy who
looks
did
great.
it. Good, I will write that down.
Never know where the inspiration's coming from.
It's true. It's true.
Zoom calls. It's you see lots of people's homes and you get decorating ideas.
That's right. That's right.
Good morning, Francesca. Good to see you.
Good
Thanks
morning.
for
Hi,
joining me.
Francesca.
How
Nice
are
to see
you?
again.
Diana. So we're just waiting for a few more people to join, but I think I'll just kind of kick us off because I just want to start by saying I have been in higher ed for 20 years. I've lived and worked in Southeast Asia, Australia, Latin America, actually Africa. I've been all over the world. And I have had this profession, and I'm a public administration specialist, but this is such a special group of humans to me because I've always been on the faculty side, and I'll tell you just in a minute a little bit more about how Gaby and I have connected around all this, but we know how important the work is of the career centers. And as we have been reaching out and talking to various leaders across various universities over the last few months during the crisis, we see that the career centers is really such a challenging space, and we want to be here to help uplift you all. We've been talking about sort of pulling your own mask down before you put it on others, and that's a powerful metaphor. I mean, it's real. And even before we had a crisis, brewing, I was at the LBJ school at the University of Texas with Dean Angela Evans, and we were already really aware that students, as they begin to, when they come into their master's degree, again, I'm in the policy, public administration space, but they come in and they're so passionate and so charged up, and then the educational process, they begin to kind of get weighted down and stressed and lose sight of what they came back to school for at the master's level. And of course undergrad is a whole different set of issues, but we really are thinking about how to help people to connect the passion to the educational process and then that dream career. And so that's where you all play such a special role in helping them to connect those dots. And it's actually the reason that I left a traditional faculty role after 20 years. I fell in love with Gaby Jordan, and I fell in love with this method, and you'll get to have this amazing, pleasurable experience to spend time with Gaby this morning. But we're really in this to transform lives, help these students to what we call human better, help get heads under new management. We ourselves understand that it is super challenging to stay up and motivated and moving towards the future and manifesting great results. And I know for young people, we can all remember being in our early mid-20s, and which most of our students are, and this is big stuff, right? Big stuff. And So without further ado, I do want to turn it over to Gaby and just introduce. Gaby comes with a very high set of credentials herself. Her number one being her incredible passion and commitment to the education field. She's a lawyer by training. She did her law degree at Columbia. I'll let her share any other details she wants to, but she is a global educational leader. She is an inspired leader who's got a huge vision for how we can help transform the youth of our planet, and it's just a real honor to get to work with her. And she is also a senior coach and executive in the Handel Group, in both the corporate division as well as the principal of our education division. And I think I'm going to leave it like that. And I thought sorry, just to say, we connected because it's a longer story, but I heard about Handel in the past. A friend of mine knew about it, and I kept going, oh, I don't have time for this. And then when I finally slowed down and finally paid attention, when I actually needed coaching for our students, it was like there was Gaby. I was like, oh, I can't believe I didn't do this 10 years ago. So anyway, that's how we met. And she came to the LBJ school and delivered some programming as orientation, which might be of interest to you all. And we can talk about that at the end of the call as well. Doing orientations for our students in the first year, as well as working with these deep dive students. And we actually were able to provide them with individual coaching sessions. And we'll talk about Inner You, which is a product that might be something of interest to you all as Career Center leadership. But we fell in love, brought our students to a whole new level of thinking about how to kind of design their life. And with that, I'm going to turn it over to Gaby.
Thank you, Jenny. Thanks so much. And Jenny Morrison is her name, since she didn't say that part.
Oh, I'm sorry. It's right at the bottom. Yes, sorry.
And my name's Gaby Jordan, for those of you who I don't know. And today I want you to know that I really intend this to be an interactive workshop. So it's not just a presentation, it's not just a webinar, but I do want it to be interactive. And what we'll do today is I'll let you know who we are, where we've been, what we do. You'll get a little bit of an introduction into the method, and you'll get a sample of Inner You Student and what that is and what we think it provides. But again, I do want it to be interactive, and because it's more fun, more powerful, you're going to walk away with some tools for you, and personal for you, right? So personal and interactive. Why I think that's important is because, as Jenny said, this is really about putting on your mask before you help others, right? And so the more that you have the experience for yourself, the more you'll be able to contribute it to others. And so that's really what our intention is. So that's why I also changed the format a little bit for this one. So it's, not just imparting knowledge, but having you engage in some exercises that will make a difference for you. You'll walk away with some tools that you can actually use and implement. So the first part of the interaction, if you will, is I would love if you would actually put in the chat, if you haven't already, who you are and where you're from, like what school you're from. And given that we have a smaller group, we don't have hundreds of people on the phone, I'm going to want to hear from you. Those of you who can be off screen, off video, on video, we would love that. We would love to see you. We do not care what it looks like, I promise. This is just us.
We're a come as you are company, especially on Friday morning.
Especially in the pandemic, right? Okay, good. So thank you so much. So the name of this workshop is Design Your Life, Design Your Quarantine and Beyond, helping you help others. And the intention, as I said, is really about that, right? So again, to give you a little bit of background about Handel Group, who we are is an executive life and coaching company. We have several different divisions. We have a life coaching division. Some of you know us through the life coaching division because you've actually been on our community calls, which we've been doing a lot of. So we talk to over 1,000 people a week these days, right, in that context. We have a corporate division, which, as Jenny mentioned, I am a senior vice president in. So we do coaching, individual, one-on-one, small group, cultural transformation, anywhere from a 3-person restaurant to United Airlines, BASF, large companies, Warner Records, the gamut. And there we really are committed to taking people individually to a higher level and then transforming groups. And then the very same work we do in the organizational division, we also do in the education division. More on that in a second. And then our sports division is one where we coach current and former National Football League players. We coach Olympic coaches. We coach Olympians. And there again, our sports division is designed to really take people to the next level of their own development. And, you know, typically, as you know, sports figures focus, 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 and then they leave sports and it's like, oh my gosh, right? Like, now what, right? And then even when they're in sports, some of the issues are they get in their own way in terms of their success. So we were hired actually to get an Olympian to the Olympics, which we were successful in doing. And we did not teach her how to skate. She knew how to skate just fine, right? But what we did was we really had her manage her negative inner dialogue, which would consistently get in her way. So that's a longer story, but you know, something we're very proud of, because this is a demonstration of how, you know, and Olympians, I mean, they are highly skilled athletes, you know, amazing, right? But if you don't get your head under new management, it impedes your success. And so that's a lot of what our method is about. So Handel, in terms of the education division, the Handel group and the Handel method is global, right? So we've taught Handel method globally, over 50 universities, institutes of higher learning, high schools in New York City. We're working right now in New Hampshire for classes for kindergarten through 8th grade. So the same work we're doing at the university level, we started at MIT in 2006, then went to NYU, Columbia, Stanford Business School, Stanford Med School, New York City Public Schools. The same commitment that we have to having people take get to a higher level, we start that in kindergarten, because why not? We really do want people to be mission-driven, design your life driven. So that's the work that we do in all areas, in all ages. And it's so amazing to see the 6-year-olds actually designing their lives and drawing pictures about their excuses and their bad traits. It's amazing, right? So, you know, we can all learn a lot from 6-year-olds. So in the education division, we work with students, we work with faculty, we work with administrators, we work with deans, we work with groups, principals, superintendents. So as I mentioned, it's the same sort of work we do in the organization division, because education is an organization. So individually and group work. And the work that we do building honest culture work, you can imagine, I'm sure that none of you have this experience, that there might be either tensions or misalignment in your organization. Well, that's the work that we actually have gone in and done, both, you know, in the South Bronx in a public school, and on Long Island on the superintendent of schools and her leadership team, for example. So it's, as you can see, the work that we do throughout the company is consistent. It's just in particular niches. So Handel method itself really is a step-by-step process, which gets you happy, honestly happy, not Instagram or haha happy, with your life, with your dreams, being and acting consistent with the dreams that you actually have. And that's one of the things that we're intending to introduce you to today, right? Because we never in schools been really taught how to live that life, to get connected in that way to our dreams and really make them happen, right? It's happened. There are places that you've made it happen, but it's not something that we've been systematically taught. And that's one of the things that we're out to do, because, you know, we have instruction manuals for everything, but everything, Excel for dummies, this, that, but everything we buy and do, we have instruction manuals. So where's the instruction manual for the human being? So that's one of the things that we actually are committed to doing, because over the last 20 years, we've been teaching thousands of clients to learn to human better. Jenny mentioned that before. Yeah, yes, to human better. Because when you use human as a verb, it actually puts the onus of responsibility and change and what's possible where it belongs, which is on us. We get to say how that goes, right? And that is a level of power that really provides a lot. So in the workshop today, what you're going to get is a small taste of our online program as well, which encompasses the entire method. And we've taken a small piece of that to do work with you today so that you can really experience that for yourselves and have a tool for yourself. So you know, hopefully you'll be left wanting more, right? Or you'll know students that should have it, or a group of students that should have it, because we really do see that it makes a difference. And when we teach courses, we walk out of the courses, and typically what happens when we fill out surveys is people say, oh, this should be mandatory for everyone at all levels, right? And we're like, yeah, we agree, right? And so that's all very gratifying, right? And so in putting together Inner You, we've been able to put it together in a way that people can do it individually. It's more accessible to people. They can do it on their own time. And so that's one of the beauties of that. So in the workshop, as I say, it's going to be interactive, so get ready. What we want you to do, a couple of things that we're doing. So first of all, we're going to wake you up to your dreams, right? Especially now. Right? This is not, oh, it's the pandemic, let's just, you know, wait until it all ends. No, we'd like you to be dreaming and continue dreaming now. We're going to introduce you to your dreams advisors, or the advisory board of your dreams. You'll get to see where you might not be acting in service of your dreams, right? Another way to say that is where, you know, your criminality is on your dream. Teach you about personal integrity, our description of personal integrity, and then actually help you find your sense of humor in case it's gone missing, especially now. Sometimes it can go missing. So we start with the first thing that we always start with is the fact that you are the author. You get to say how it goes. And there are places in your life where you have made that happen. And you said, I'm going to do something come hell or high water, and you did it, right? And then part of that is really waking you up to your dreams and really connecting you to your dreams. So often the first assignment that we give is that we get our clients, and now you, to start to dream. So there's a catch. It's not like one dream, it's actually dream in 12 areas of your life. Which people are typically resistant to, like do like their deepest, darkest, oh my God, what I really want, we're engaging in what I really want, and the answer is yes, right? But given that we have a short time together, we're only going to pick one area for today that you're going to actually focus on, so that you can actually get the experience of what's it like, right? And then we suggest that the area you pick to dream in is one that might have predictably gone missing during the pandemic. Right? So it might, you know, during a quarantine, you might not be dreaming in this area. And so that would be a good one to really do, right? So when we coach people and Inner You student, we actually look at 12 areas of life. We go in more in depth. We have you pick 3 to 5 areas to start with. There's actually a master class that you get to work on the first 4 sessions in. But today we're really giving you one to start with, and you're going to pick it. So the first question is, why dream? All right, why might you dream? Well, mostly we don't allow ourselves to dream. And, you know, we weren't always terrible at dreaming. We really were better at it when we were kids. But if I asked you today, okay, what's your career dream? What's your community dream? What's your body dream, right? It might feel more like, I'm not so sure about that, right? In fact, you might only be able to tell me what you don't want, right? We're pretty good at saying what we don't want. It's harder to say what we do want. And because typically at some point we all stopped dreaming, right? We got older, we decided it was way smarter to sort of dumb down the things that we really want, because you know what? We might not get them. And so we sold out. And so one of the things that, you know, I want to goose you in is really being willing to dream, right? And because mostly we don't do it because we think, if we actually did it, and if we actually told anyone, we'd have to go for it. And that's scary, right? And so what happens when you dream is it actually wakes you up to yourself. It wakes you up to yourself and really the things that you might have forgotten that you're really interested in. And what we say is that when you dream, you get to see what your real happiness is, and you get to also see what the obstacles are or the traffic in the way. And then you get to really examine your whole life and look at, like, what would it look like if it was the way I wanted it? And sometimes that's a little scary. So the first thing that we're going to do is have you pick an area to get started in. And for that purpose, I'm actually going to share my screen for a minute so that you can just see the different areas of life that we play in. So it can be anything, and you can really pick anything that you want. But these are the areas that we have people work on. So yourself, you know, how you feel about yourself, your body, your appearance, your health, love, dating and marriage, spirituality, your career, your money, your time, your home. And now that you've been at home, maybe you don't like some things about your home. Oops, right? Your family, immediate family, extended family, parenting, how you deal, your friends, old and new friends, fun and adventure, right? Actually being able to explore, actually being able to learn something, and community and contribution. So those are the areas that we play in. What I'd like you to actually do is I'd like you to think about, you know, there are areas where you feel great about yourself, and those you should keep loving them. And then there are some areas where you might be a little heartbroken, right? And unfortunately, those parts of your life where you're not feeling as great about yourself actually do leak into the other areas. So without even being great at math, you can figure out that that area where you got a low rating for yourself actually pulls down the other areas of happiness. And so your other areas diminish because of the areas that are a bit polluted. So we are really committed that you don't have to have that suffering that way, that you don't have to be heartbroken, that you actually can do something about it. So what I'd like you to do in the first instance is to pick one area that you don't love right now, and everybody's going to do this. So pick one area you don't love right now, and I'd like you to actually create a dream in that area, and I'm going to tell you how to do that. But for the moment, I'd like you to pick an area. So does everybody have an area that they could pick? Yes. Anybody not have one? And those of you not on screen, raise your hand. Okay, good. Oh, thank you. Look at you using your reactions. Okay, good. Okay, those of you not on screen, yes. Okay, good. Sue has one. Tracy, do you have one? Michelle, you have one? Dana?
I have one.
Okay, good. Great. All right, so here's what you're doing. You're gonna, in that area of life, I'd like you to look a year from now. A year from now, if you had it the way that you wanted it, right? This is what it would look like. So here's what you're gonna write. And you should actually write this down. And then what you can actually do, so write it down. And then also, if you can also put it in the chat, right? And you write it first, and then you can decide if you want to put it in the chat. And I might actually have somebody share. Uh-oh. Get ready. All right. So the first thing is you want to be specific. You want to make sure that you capture your vision. What does it look like? What does it feel like? Because you really want to have the experience of it. And you want your dream to inspire you. Might even scare you a little bit, right? It should be a stretch, but not a pipe dream. And remember, you're looking a year out, not 5 years, not 10 years, but a year out. Somebody just shout out the different areas that you're looking at so I know.
I'm going to do
Oh, go ahead.
Go ahead. Maddie, go ahead.
Community and contribution.
Great. Gwendolyn?
Home and family.
Beautiful. That's actually two. You might start with one, but.
Home first.
Okay, good. Who else?
Friends.
Friends, perfect. Mariana, great.
Body.
Body, okay, good. And anyone else?
Time.
Time, okay, excellent. Relationship to self, good. Okay, excellent, very good. Okay, good, so everybody has one, great. So as I said, be specific, then write your dream in the present tense. What that does, it makes you accountable for it right now. It's as if there's a way different experience of yourself when you write it as if it exists right now. Then write it in the positive. Don't write like, oh, I don't want this, right? You want to focus on what you do want, not what you don't want. You know, when you put in your dream what you don't want, it's like watering the weeds, right? Bad plan, not the location for your dream, okay? Be honest. Right? Go for it. Don't be, this is not about how am I going to get there. The first thing is you would just want to create the dream so that you're present to how that looks for you, right? And then really acknowledge what you really want. It's good. It's fine. It's great. It moves you. and then keep breathing. Why I say that is because sometimes when you have a big dream, you get scared. It makes you feel small in comparison to where you are. Don't worry about that. It really will pull you if you're willing to dream, okay? So, and then I'm gonna read you and some examples so that you can start to hear some things, okay? So the first one is an example. This is a dream that you'll hear. This is a career dream. I will stop being frustrated by my team, especially the dean and her crazy requests. I will actually like going to work and the things I get to do. The people I work with, even remotely, will be decent and not work me to the bone. Stop making so many requests of me all day. We get to the end of this crisis in one piece, able to get back to more than business as usual, sooner than later. I'm able not to be bored or scared anymore. So you probably guessed that's not such a great dream, right? You know, can you hear all the negatives in the dream? It doesn't inspire you. I mean, it would be good if the person got there, but when you read your dream, it's supposed to motivate you. It's supposed to motivate you into taking actions and really making it happen. It kind of is like your GPS, right? And when you have all those negatives in the dream, it actually signals your subconscious like, okay, I want to scream, maybe have a stiff drink or 3, right? So that's not what you want in your dream. So I'm going to give you the rewritten version of this dream so that you can start to hear the difference. I'm going to read this. All right. I lead an exceptional team. I lead an exceptional team of humans that share a commitment to empower students to live their best life and achieve their career dream. I'm an inspired supporter of the stakeholders in my community and an important bridge between university leadership, faculty, and the students who need guidance as they map out their next steps. I'm wildly supportive of the students, fun, and a great listener. The graduating students get the support they need for their job hunts. Our office is a tight-knit community of people who care for each other and our students. I lead my staff with grace and inspired wisdom. Our communication is awe-inspiring. We ride the wave of the pandemic on a high, building even stronger connections and programming. We are heroes. Can you get the difference, right, in that dream? Can you hear the difference? Yeah. So it feels good to read it. All right. So now it's your turn. So write down for your particular area a few lines of your dream, something that would be a 9 or 10 for you in a year's time. I'm going to give you a few minutes to do that. All right, while you're doing that, Maddie, if you put in the chat, I'm going to put two links in the chat. One is for you if you want to sign up for our newsletter. You'll get weekly blogs, you know, upcoming events, link to podcasts. And then another one is if you want to connect with us. We'll just do that now. Take care of that. All right, cool. Is there anyone who'd like to share their dream? Do we have any brave souls?
Share, Gaby.
Excellent, thank you.
I am sharing. I am named executive director of an advising program that I am making a difference with the students on our campus using all of my skill sets and strengths. And I lead an exceptional team. I empower others to discover their best life. Yeah.
Beautiful. Thank you. Good. Who else? Thank you, Cindy, for being the first brave soul. Who else?
This is Erica, and I'll share.
Great. Thank you.
My dream is about my home.
Mm-hmm.
And so, of course, being in it for so long, I'm noticing all the things. So my home is a peaceful, beautiful haven. It is a place that is comfortable, colorful, and joyful. Each room is designed for function, creativity, and beauty.
Beautiful. Beautiful. Thank you. Good. Sue, I saw that you put yours in the chat. Can I read it? I'm going to read it.
Yes.
Thank you. You can read it. You can read it. Oh, hey, Aaron. Go ahead, Sue, read it.
Okay. So what I put was, I like my current job, even though it meant a huge pay drop from my last, and it really was a huge one, which I really did, but I didn't get much out of that job. It was a very frustrating one, even though it was a promotion in school district administration. I'm currently an administrator within a community college, and I have freedom to do a lot of what I want to do, bring in new ideas. I have a great team and so on and so forth. But my husband would like to move to the UK. He's film industry. And sadly, the film industry in California took a dive several years ago. That would be a return for me, as you can tell from my accent. So what I would like to move into is doing consultancy on both sides.
Okay, cool. Can I give you a little bit of coaching for your dream?
Sure.
So, in the way that we're working and saying it in the present tense and saying it as if it's already realized, one of the things that you could do is to say, we're thrilled to be back in the UK. I have a consultancy on both sides of the Atlantic, and I'm living my full potential and contributing to clients in a beautiful way. I mean, I made that up on the spot, but I just want to give you that in terms of your pulling you, right? So it's really, and thank you for being willing to let me do that, because it's a little bit of a demonstration to everyone where you're going. Make sense?
Yes.
Beautiful. All right. Thank you so much. All right. Good. All right. So now that you each have your drip. Oh, Michelle, please.
Oh, okay. It's only a couple sentences,
That's
but
all right.
you know, it gets the juices flowing. So my area would be career, and I do children's educational programming. So I love creating breakthrough children's educational programming for parents of preschoolers, little guys 2 to 6, and teachers. Students are socially and emotionally centered, happy and fit, and they're learning like crazy. The educational community is thrilled to have my program.
Beautiful. Beautiful. And the thing is, I want to offer you to add to it.
Yes.
How it would make you feel.
Okay.
Right? Because one of the things, and Jenny actually put this in the chat, is one of the things that we say is if it gives you goosebumps, right? It really connects to your heart. It makes a huge difference in how it feels to you. I mean, I love what you wrote, and now I want to include you in the dream.
Okay.
Right? Because you created it, right? And then they love what you've created. Now you want to include yourself.
Okay.
All right.
Thank you so much.
Thank you. Great. All right, good. Now everyone has your dream. Aaron, welcome for joining us. Everybody created a dream in one area of their life. And so now we're going to the next part. And that is, you want to rate yourself on a scale of 1 to 10. And the dream that you just wrote should be a 9 or a 10. And so 10 is, you want to rate your current reality on a scale of 1 to 10. And the dream you wrote is a 9 or a 10. And so 10 is like, I'm there. It's amazing. I can't believe it. Unsustainable moments of bliss. And a 1 is, that is never happening, kill me now, right? Like, no. And so then there's everything in between, right? So you want to, and when you write this, it's free flowing. You can write it however you need to write it. But one of the things that you'll get to see is, you know, if your dream, and you want to tell the truth about your rating, if your dream is that, you know, you win the Nobel Prize for Literature, and the last thing you've ever written is a text to your mother about why you haven't called her, you're probably not so high on the rating scale, right? It probably gets a 2 or maybe a 1, right? So when you write, you want to really honestly rate yourself. So everybody give yourself a rating from 1 to 10. Okay. Now, what I want you to do is to write all the reasons why you're not a 9 or a 10. Let it rip. Write them down. Okay. So anyone want to share their rating and why they're not a 9 or a 10? Mariana, you look like you're about to share.
Okay, I can share. So I'm a 5, and because I don't have the time, we don't live so nearby because my goal is to be with my friends more often. Okay. We have been focusing on our careers. So that was what I wrote.
So it just hasn't happened. Got it. Perfect. Thank you. Good. Somebody else, one other person. Why you're not a 9 or a 10? Yes, please, Michelle.
So I rated myself a 2.
Okay.
Because deals are complicated. My story.
Yes.
No money in, there's no money in preschool. Another story.
Yeah.
And I can't handle this bureaucratic bullshit.
Awesome. Okay, good.
Another story, right?
That's great. I love it. All right, good. So one of the things I want you guys all to notice is how easy it was to write the reasons why not, that it's not happening, right? Like you could, you know, write forever on why it's not happening, much harder to identify your dream and actually capture your dream. So that's just something to notice. So now I want to give you, you know, now that you've written the dream, you've written the what the rating is, and then you've said the reasons why you're not there, I want to give you the good news and bad news. And so that is that maybe it's you. Maybe it's you. Yes, right? Because the one thing in common in everything that's not working in your life is that you're there. Oopsie, right? So really there's no maybe about it. It really is you, sorry. But that's actually the good news also, right? Can you get the good news? Because if it's the economy's fault, if it's the pandemic's fault, if your virtual boss's fault, if it's your metabolism's fault, or anyone else's fault, it takes the power away from you, right? Then you're stuck where you're stuck, and there's nothing you can do about any of it. But if you are the common denominator and in all that's not working, then you really can do something about it. And that is really the good news. And that is what, you know, because we say, like, no one else is coming. You're in charge, right? Who's putting you in every position you're in? Who's telling the story of your life? You are, right? And so one of the things that's really important for you is to see how accountable you are, to show that, you know, that's where your fingerprints are on the crime scene. So anybody what can you now see about the reasons you're not at a 9 or a 10? Who'd like to share?
if no one else is
Go,
going to
Jenny, you go.
I can say that with my body dream, I had a really transformative experience from like, I just want to lose weight, you know, to this whole beautiful dream. I won't read it, but you know, about being healthy and vibrant and an inspiration for others and getting that really juicy feeling. But, you know, for me, it's like, it's my kid's fault. I'm a single mother, a single motherhood's fault, and definitely my children's fault. And it took, I just want to say, like, it took me about 9 months to figure out how to design a day that I could consistently exercise. So, but I had to first acknowledge that, like, I had authorship over my role as a single mother, and we call that weather reporting in this methodology. But it was like, this is as good as it gets. Single mothers just can't get to the gym. I'm 48 years old now. It just doesn't happen. This is it. And I had to really assess that. It took coaching, a lot of coaching to get me there. But
beautiful, beautiful. Yeah. See, the thing is, if you really can understand that you are the principal, you're the CEO, you said everything and did everything to get you where you are. You get to say what works for you and what doesn't work for you. And until you can actually recognize that and get that accountability, right? Like, you know, oh, we'd never stay in a job past, you know, too long, or we'd never get fired, or we'd never hate on other people, or we'd never put on 20 extra pounds, right? Yeah. Who else is there? The worst thing is that premise gets you so long as you don't think that you're the one who got yourself in the mess, you lose the power, right? And the whole point of what we're doing is not to blame you, right? There's accountability, but there's power in accountability. And it's really to get you be able to see that you're the author, you design, you get to say. And if you can be accountable for every component of your life, the things that work and the things that don't work, that there's real power, right? And it makes a big difference in you being able to see. And you know what? You know how I said at the beginning, there are places that you've made something happen. So just shout out for a second. Just give me some things that you made happen. You couldn't believe it, or you didn't expect it, but you made it happen because you said you wanted it. Give me an example of that. Could be you took care of a sick parent, you ran a marathon, you got into a particular school, you got a great job.
My husband and I are doing half marathons in all 50 states. And before this happened, we were 7 short of that. So that was something we couldn't believe we could accomplish, but it took, you know, planning and goal setting and things like that.
Yes, and you made and you made it happen, right? Like
exactly
before you started, like, I don't know, we want to do this, right? And
right.
You're 43 out of 50. That's pretty amazing, right?
Yeah.
And I'm quite confident you'll get the other ones after we're done all of this. Perfect. Good. Who else? Something you said you want to make happen and you made it happen. Because you all have one, more than one. Tracy, how about you?
I was able to it's a weird thing, but to get a dog, which I have put off for I don't know how many years, because I kept saying, oh, my life's too busy, I can't do it, I can't do that. And it just now fits into the life. Everything kind of gels when you're ready to.
Yes, right. Very good. Okay, good. One other person. So Jenny said she got finished her PhD. One other example.
This is Dana. I made a huge career change from being in private practice in the legal industry and having my own firm. And for years thinking, this isn't what I want to do at the end of the day. And so now I'm a director of career services at SMU Dedman. It was a substantial pay cut. But I knew that ultimately I didn't want to be a litigator for the rest of my life.
Yes. Oh, I think I can relate to that. That's what I did for years. For 15 years, I was a litigator. So I hear you. I feel you. I hear you. Yes. Beautiful. Good. Thank you, Dana. Yeah. So the thing that you want to be really present to is each and every one of you, and even those of you who didn't share, have something that you've made happen. And that particular achievement is actually proof that you can make a dream happen when you say you want to, right? So especially for those, you know, the human beings, we're all results driven. And then most of us really do think that in order to get to a dream, you need to take actions, which is totally true. And we advocate that, we believe that. And then we think that we're taking the right actions or not, right? Sure, the right actions help, but they aren't the sole source of results. And it's not like most of us don't know the things that we need to do. Like, we want to get kudos from our boss, right? Do we bother go have the conversation with the boss, right? Not necessarily. So what you want to actually see is, yes, there are actions to take, except in the areas where you're not taking the actions, here's what's happening. You are listening to an advisory board or your board of advisors that don't support your dream. And when they don't support your dream, you don't get your dream. So we've actually named those, and Jenny mentioned one of them. So there are 3 different, today we're only talking about 3 of the different voices in our head. So there's the chicken, the brat, and the weather reporter. So each of us has a little voice in our head that's constantly commenting on everything that's happening in our life. Except mostly we don't notice it. We're checked out, we're busy, that we don't even recognize that our inner dialogue is making those decisions for us. So we go through life listening to it, without really understanding what the motivation is. So most of us think the voice is us. It's not. That's really the good news, right? So the voice is critical of you. It squashes your dreams. It makes excuses for what's not working in your life. It stays mad at your best friend, but it doesn't tell them why, right? It drowns your sorrows in a few of your vices. Netflix, cocktails, cigarettes, whatever. It actually allows you to do those things that don't necessarily support you. So we all have each of the voices. But as I explain the voices, I want you to listen for your version of them, because everyone's got them. So you want to find yours, right? And then when when you're looking at interview, there are actually more voices, but right now we're doing these 3. So there is the chicken, which is the voice of fear, right? It's scared, it's worried, it loves the news right now. It comes up with a plan to how to keep you safe, right? Anytime that you have to plan that seems scary, it doesn't want to ruffle feathers. So it's willing to let the dream slip by because it might be risky. Uh-oh, no, right? Timing's always wrong to ask for a promotion or a raise, right? So that's the chicken. Then there's the brat. That's the voice of the entitled 4-year-old in an adult body saying, I don't want it and you can't make me. And then your brat is stubborn, it's manipulative, and it's always running a scam, right? So it's either trying to get what it wants or get you out of doing something, right? I'll do it tomorrow. I'll feel like it tomorrow. It'll be better then, right? Write dreams in 12 areas of my life. No. I think I have to go do my Facebook feed and then I'll do it. Right. That's the brat. The other voice is the one that Jenny mentioned before, which is the weather reporter. And the weather reporter reports on life as if it's the weather and there's nothing I can do about it. It's raining in Seattle and I could not talk to my boss on Thursdays because you know how my boss is on Thursdays. She's not so good. Tuesdays is really a better day, right? So maybe that's the day I can speak to her, right? And then you listen to that voice like it's the best strategy ever, right? Rather than it's just the excuse that keeps you from the thing that you want. So we're pretty skilled at forecasting, right? So for example, if you report that, I'm not a good work from home person, right? Do you ever have to do anything in the morning, like be nice before noon or ever? No, right? Or, I'm shy, I'm an introvert, right? How could I ever possibly do a Zoom call where I actually have to see people? No, that's no good, right? If you're terrible with money, you don't have to stop shopping ever, right? You keep buying things. So you just want to start to notice where that voice gets in your way. That voice keeps you from your dream, right? You can see how smart that voice is, right? The chicken, the brat, the weather reporter, all of that, it dilutes your effectiveness. And that's pollutant to your dream, keeps you from your dream. And so now the thing is, all right, how do we get out of those? How do we deal with those voices, right? Because the more that you can start hearing them, so the first thing is you got to recognize, You got to recognize. So I'd like to hear from each of you. What is an example for you of your chicken, your brat, or your weather reporter? Because the more that you hear it, the more you can do something about it. So let's hear a couple.
This is Jennifer. I'm definitely the brat when it comes to, I just want to eat what I want to eat. You can't tell me I can't have that tiramisu.
Perfect. Perfect. All right, good. Who else? Who else? Yeah, Aaron.
Hi, Gaby. Sorry I'm late. I communicated to Jennifer, to Jenny. I'm sorry.
No problem.
What went on? Had a problem getting on.
Yeah, no problem.
And okay. So, anyways, a weather reporter in the weight, because the weight goes up and down. Instead of dealing with it, okay, that's gonna happen.
I guess it's the way it is right now. Perfect.
Yeah.
Good. Who else? Sue says her brat bubbles to the, oh, by the way, thanks for that, Sue, in the comments row. It's a mixture of all three. We actually all have all three of them. So, you know, you're not alone. It's just that sometimes they pipe up louder than other times. Good. Who else? Gwendolyn, what's yours? I'm calling on you now.
Let me get my mic here.
Yeah, you're good.
Yeah, I actually think it was a combination. I was agreeing with the combination of all three, but I think it's the brat mostly because I tend to want what I want when I want it, and I have trouble making compromises.
Yeah, definitely the brat. Perfect.
Right. And I don't settle very well, so I'll put it off until I can figure out how to get it.
Yes. They don't need that report now. They don't need that information now. I'll do it tomorrow on my terms. Yeah, very good. All right, good. So everybody's just to start, notice your voice. So you walk out of here, you're going to actually have your voices that you're going to hear, right? And then you can tell them to shut up. That's really the good news. So what's the secret sauce to happiness? Well, we say it's personal integrity. And, you know, we're going to go over a little bit, and there's way more in interview, obviously, but this, you know, here's what we call personal integrity. So personal integrity is the ability to make and keep promises to yourself. First thing. And you want to be making and keeping promises to yourself that are actually a match for your dream. So it's the alignment of your heart, which is your desires, your mind, which is your plan, and your body, which is your actions. And when those are in alignment, you're in personal integrity. And it's not a place to get to, it really is a way of life, right? So it is really the key to success and to happiness, self-esteem, and pride, which is the alignment of all those things: heart, your head, and your actions. And then the issue is that we are lousy in keeping promises to ourselves. We just are, right? So if you say to your colleagues or your friends or your kids, I'll pick you up at 3 o'clock, you're going to be there at 3 o'clock, right? If you say to yourself, well, I'll blog monthly, I'll tweet, I'll exercise 3 times a week, good luck to you, right? Because we put ourselves last on the list. We're always willing to excuse ourselves rather than really keeping integrity for ourselves, right? Everybody else gets what they want. We don't. So being able to tell the truth of where we don't have integrity for ourselves has integrity to it. Even that, acknowledging the truth, makes a difference. And so what we want you to actually do is to lighten up and be honest about where we suck, where we just don't tell the truth to ourselves, don't do what we say we're going to do. It starts with actually being willing to say. So the first thing about building, because what's happening is that you're actually building a muscle for personal integrity. And it is a muscle that you build. And the first part about it is you have to start to hear your favorite brand of excuse, which you've identified, right? And so once you can hear your favorite excuses, you can actually see that they are part of your dream decay. And everyone has their favorite, right? So once you see it, you can catch it, you can do something about it. And how you do something about it is we have a method of accountability called promises and consequences, right? That's actually also in the interview, and we have something called a promise tracker in interview. But right now, I want to give you the way to make, same way I gave you how to write a dream, I'm going to give you how to make a promise. Because how you actually build personal integrity is start to make promises and keep them. And when there's nothing better, as you all know, from making a promise and actually doing the thing that you say you're going to do. Yep. So when you make a promise, you want to make it specific, right? You want it to be realistic, right? Realistic. So you're not making a promise that you're going to win the lottery. That would be a bad plan, right? You can hope that you're going to win the lottery, but it's not a promise you're going to win the lottery. So you're making it realistic, something that you know, you believe that can actually happen. You want to make it a stretch for you. So you don't need to make promises where you already know you're going to keep them. I used to have a promise to drink 3 liters of water a day. I don't need to have that promise because I just do that now, right? But so you make it where you need it, right? So stretch for yourself, be specific. You got to watch out for loopholes. So make sure that when you're making a promise, you answer one of the 3 following questions. How often, how long, how many? How often, how long, how many? Makes a difference in your being specific. Then, for example, a good promise would be that you're going to read your dream to 3 people a day, right? There's no wiggle room in that, right? Your chicken and brat would rather you have a promise like, I'll work out more, I'll eat less, I'll be nicer, right? Not really so easy to measure. So that's why you want to have it be specific. Then you want to use powerful language, right? Not like hope, try, wish. Those things don't cut it when it comes to actually being concrete in actually boxing yourself in. And then manage the external world, right? So if you're going on vacation or you're going to a place that has no Wi-Fi, don't promise to tweet daily, right? If you're getting on an airplane and you know you have to watch the things that you eat, bring your own food, right? So you want to also get the joke, right? That the joke is the more you resent having to make and keep a promise in that area, the more you probably need it. Sorry, the more you need it. And there's no time to make promises better than the present. So I'd like you to actually look at, in that area that you wrote that dream for, what kind of a promise could you make that will take you up the scale? And again, I'm going to give you some examples so that you can hear some promises, okay? And these are career-related examples. So I'll check with each of my staff members weekly so that they feel supported and that they have an open line of communication while we remain quarantined. That's one. I'll spend 2 hours on Monday morning designing my week. I'll add in all activities to my calendar to make sure that I make progress on my unit's strategic objectives. I'll schedule a weekly call-in with the dean to stay connected and deal with any student challenges as they come up. So those are concrete examples. So the question is then, well, how do I keep those promises, right? And I'm going to ask you about yours in a second, right? So in order for you to be successful, you actually want to care about your own integrity. You want to care about what you say that you're taking on. So if you would, please identify 1 or 2 promises that will move you up the scale to your dream. 1 or 2 promises you could make that are concrete that will move you up the scale. What do you think? Let's hear some. All right. So Jennifer wrote, I want to do yoga stretches 3 mornings a week. Great. Let me give you a tweak for that. I will do yoga stretches 3 mornings a week. Can you get the tweak? Right? That it's not want to, doesn't, you know, it's more of that language. Okay. So I do yoga stretches 3 times a week. Perfect. And even tweaking it more would be, I do yoga stretches for 20 minutes 3 times a week. Right? Something that's concrete so that you can know, like if you just didn't, you know, stand up and bend over, technically that would be a yoga stretch, right? So you want to give yourself what will actually support you. in specificity. Perfect.
I
Thank you.
need to take it even one more step, because what finally got me doing my yoga stretches and I will start at 7:55 a.m. It's like, this is when it's happening, and then put it on my calendar, and then the alarm went off, and it was like, I am out of excuses.
Right.
I had to add that.
Good. Juliana writes, I'll walk 30 minutes 3 times a week. Very good. Good. Who else? Why don't you put your promise in the chat, so that way it lives there for you.
Did you see Jennifer said, but I like having the loophole.
I know, that's perfect, right? And the beauty of making promises, you get to see where your loopholes are. You get to see how you get yourselves off the hook, which is powerful, right? Because the more, again, this is all about getting to see where you let yourself off the hook. So.
And it's really important to be able to laugh about it too, because I tended to be so serious. It's like, oh my gosh, I'm such a mess. And, you know, it's like, it's great that Jennifer's laughing.
Yes, so good, so good. So then the question is, well, how do I keep a promise, right? And you make sure you put your promise in the chat. Don't worry, put your promise in the chat, just so that we know that you've created. Good. I will do self-evaluation. Okay, good. So Aaron, for you to more specifically, it is, I'll weigh myself, once a week. And
I do it every day.
Oh, you do? Okay, so every day. But then, so now the difference is, then if I see that if I'm over my weight or under my weight, whichever the way you want to go, you'll put in corrective action. Can you get that? Because the self-evaluation says, okay, so I could feel bad for myself. Don't need to feel bad for yourself. You know what I mean?
Actually, the corrective action, which I didn't put in, I didn't think,
there you go,
was I reported to my nutritionist.
Okay, great.
Yeah, yes, but I like the corrective action even better.
Can I give an example of a corrective action? Please. Like in my life, then I can't, if I am not meeting my weight goals, then I cannot have more than 1 cup of starch the next day. Like, I know what causes me to gain weight, or I won't go out to eat on the weekend. So very specific action that's going to actually fix the problem. And,
yes, good.
Thank you.
So now here's the question. How do you keep a promise? So we say you need 3 things. You need to get a buddy. That could be either a coach or an accountability buddy, like that. Go public with your promises. Actually let people know what you're committing to, and put in a self-imposed consequence. So first thing, finding your buddy. Who is the appropriate buddy for you? Well, this is not your friend who's going to agree with how hard your life is and, gee, so sorry for you. No, that is not the buddy you want, right? You want someone who's going to hold you accountable, right? Because when you start to notice how great it is to be accountable, that's going to be incentive. But until you get there, you need someone to hold you accountable. Not even that they need to do something. You report into them. I did it. I didn't do it. Okay. Not like a drinking buddy who's gonna, be your partner in crime. Yeah. Doesn't call you on your stuff, so you don't call them on their stuff. Okay. Then go public with your promises. Let people know who they are, what they are. Your nearest and dearest, tell them, right? So, and besides your friends, you could tell a spouse, you could tell a kid. Kids love holding you accountable. They really do. So if you owe your kid $20 every time you raise your voice or don't go to the gym or eat a carb, right? Guess what happens magically, right? Yeah. If you start to use that, that's the kicker to our system. If you use something to your benefit, you're putting in a self-imposed consequence actually has you win. So it's the 3 things. It's finding a buddy, going public with your promises, and putting in a self-imposed consequence, right? And by the way, can we please forget the feeling guilty? This is so not about feeling guilty. That's something we already have an addiction to, feeling bad. Oh, I feel so bad I didn't keep my promises. No. Just pay your consequence. It's really easy that way. That way it's like paying your parking ticket. You don't have to feel sad that you have to pay your parking ticket. I mean, you might not want to pay it, but you don't feel guilty about having it's like, all right, I paid my ticket, I'm done, right? So, I have one, look, if I get annoyed with my husband in the middle of annoyed with my husband in the middle of a discussion, I have to drop down and do 20 push-ups because it interrupts the flow, right? Jenny, you probably have a good one too.
Excuse me, I was texting someone who was leaving, so I wasn't even thinking about a promise. I'm sorry.
That's all right. All right, so a consequence. All right, anybody have a good consequence for you?
Yeah, I was just going to say with my own children, like if I say a bad word, it seems like coronavirus equals me cussing out of nowhere. And I started catching myself. And so they get $1 every time I cuss. And like, boy, do they love this game.
That's great. Awesome.
They're filling their coffers. It stopped now quickly.
So I'll give you some consequences to go with those. You know, the promises that I told you before about the career dreams, right? So the one about checking staff members, if I don't do that, throw $5 on the ground. Spending 2 hours on Monday to design the week. If I don't do that, give up the wine for the weekend. Schedule the weekly call with the dean. If I don't do that, clean out my hallway closet. So you want to get something concrete that is not a punishment, that it really support you as incentive to keeping your promise. So let's hear from you. What are some good ones that you might have? Yes, please, Aaron, go.
Actually, it was too good to be mine. So I would, Esty had a good one and I'm using it. I look in the mirror and say how beautiful I look when the weight goes up.
Ah.
And it's working.
It's working? All right, good. All right, who else? What's a good consequence for you? Typically, losing a vice is a good one for you, is good for people. Like things like losing your Netflix or losing your coffee the next day or losing a television show. Anyone else have a good consequence for them? Juliana, you have one? You look like, are you writing it in? Losing the wine. Yes, yes, yes. That one's a good one for you. Yes, I can relate to that one very well as well. Okay, good.
I'm curious about Jennifer, since she'd given us the idea of the yoga and she's doing such a good job playing and disclosing her brat. What would be a good consequence if you didn't do the yoga?
No, I don't find that as an incentive. Like, because my brat just says, who the hell cares? Why even abide by the consequence?
That's right. Right.
Well, Jennifer, you and I are soul sisters. I was going to say, so for me, because I wasn't doing it and I had the same ideas, I finally was like, if I don't do it, then I can't have my first cup of coffee. Boy, does that fix a lot of problems in the morning, because I'm not messing around. You got to be willing to pay your consequences. And
that's right. And it's a very good point, Jennifer. So why we listen to our excuses rather than our promises and our integrity is because we're not connected enough to the dream. Like we don't necessarily care enough about the dream, because if you care about the dream, you'll actually make it happen. Right?
Can I add one? Oh, sorry.
Please go ahead.
No, I'm sorry to keep interrupting. I would say the other thing, Jennifer, because the body dream has been so important for me, and it's been very hard for me to on. It's also about the relationship to self and caring enough about myself to make the time. But a great example of how the dream can change your life and bring you and connect you through is in my dream. It's about I was 38 when I had my first daughter, and I want to be 90 years old, meeting grandbabies, and I want to do it, and I want to be healthy, and so part of my dream is that, and I cannot tell you how that keeps me in line. When I start to go, I go, wait a minute. You're going to lose it. If you don't do it, you're going to lose it. And it just keeps me inspired. So
yeah,
maybe
that's another way to go about it. Beautiful. Good. So what you've got now is you've got a dream, you've got a promise, you've got a consequences. You can hear those excuse voices, right? And then you have a way to actually make your dream happen. So that's a structure that you have that actually can move you up the scale in anything. So I encourage that you actually use it. And that when you leave, you actually report to people, okay, this is what I'm taking on, and actually share the dream, because it's going to make a difference, right? And then I want you to have that concretely, because you have it in that area, you can take it to any area of your life. And obviously, as coaches, we care about solutions. And so that's why we came up with Inner You, right? And so I want to take questions, but I also want to show you, just like, few minutes, I just want Maddie to be able to show you what the the dashboard looks like, and a couple of different screens on Inner You so that you can see what the platform is, so that you can see one of the things that we have there. So Maddie, if you would just share that with people, and then I want to do questions, answers, and about what you're actually seeing for yourself in this. Great. So can you go to student? Yeah, there you go. And so this is Inner You student, right? And so the Humanual goes through. So what Inner You student has is it has 12 modules, right? So which is like 12 coaching sessions with Lauren Zander. It would be thousands for that, right? But we created it so that it could be effective and inexpensive. And so what happens is you get the 12 modules. There's a community that gets built. There are actually Q&A calls that you can come to. You actually get a free coaching session with someone, or it's included in that. And so there's a promise tracker, right? So that, the same thing that we just did with you creating a promise. Well, here's a tracker that you can go in and you can actually put your promises and consequences in. And then you can connect with a buddy. So either you'll have a buddy that you can work with, or you can get a buddy inside the system, and then it actually tracks your integrity, how well you've done, right? And then your buddy and you can share your promises and consequences, okay? And then there's also the calls. Let's say there's a schedule of calls that shows up right there, so you can see the Inner University calls. And then there's a 6-week masterclass, and then there's several bonus modules. And then, as I said, the Q&A calls. So the bottom line of this is what we're doing for the people on this call and people that you would refer to through, so normally it's $650 off the shelf, right? Through Monday at midnight, it's more than half off. So right now for the pandemic, we're doing it half off at $325. For people who are on this call or connected to this call, there's an additional $50 off. So it's $375 off. And the code that you use is EDU, education, 325. And Maddie's going to put that in the chat so you have it. So that'll take you directly to the link. If either that, you should have it, or there are people, there's students who should have it, also you can just talk to us if there's a group that you think should have it. That's that's a whole separate conversation. But when you use that link, it'll actually be $375 off, not just $325 off. Beautiful. All right, good. Thanks, Maddie. Okay, good. So now I'd like to hear from you. Oh, right. And so if anyone wants to have a conversation with us, either about coaching or anything else, put your email in the chat, and then we'll get back to you on that.
I've also put my email in the chat if anyone wants
Perfect.
a tutorial or any additional information on anything.
Perfect. All right, good. So I'd like to hear from you now. What are you taking away from this conversation? Like, what are you left with from the conversation? What can you see for yourself?
This is Jennifer again.
Great.
I really like the Brat weather reporter chicken. It makes a lot of sense, like to have that awareness of how we're using our excuses and what's the pattern that they're falling into.
Yes.
I'm still really struggling with the negative, like the penalty phase on this. It feels counter to how you set up the positive aspect of your dream.
Yeah.
And I mean, it definitely pushes my brat button.
Yeah.
So, I mean, it's revealing. I know it's revealing about me, but I'm having a hard time seeing that would be
So
helpful.
let me give you a different way. Thank you for saying that, because you're not alone in people react to consequences. I get it. Me too. Right. What is happening there is that people are not connected enough to the dream that you want. And the game is, I don't want you to pay the consequence. I just want you to keep the promise. That's what I really care about. And you can create consequences that are actually good for you in other areas of your life. So if you don't do your yoga stretches, then you have to clean your whole closet. That's not, I mean, that's something good for you. Or you don't do your yoga stretches, then you have to do a favor for a friend of yours or for a partner, right? Or for someone in your office, right? You have to do an extra chore, and it's way easier to do your yoga stretches than have to do an extra chore for something. But if you did an extra chore for someone, it would actually help the relationship. So I have some professors at NYU who each had a writing promise. And if they didn't keep their writing promise, one of them had to throw away a book, which was devastating to him. But the other one had to call her mother-in-law, and she liked her mother-in-law. That wasn't the issue. She just didn't have time to yak on the phone with her mother-in-law. But so she'd either keep her promise writing the amount that she had agreed to for her book, or develop a better relationship with her mother-in-law. So that's not a punishment. It really is, enhances another area of your life. But the real trick is, as you know, Jenny was saying, having the dream and why it's important to you drive the show, not so much, you know, the negative, because it's really about having you have what you want, which is what this is all designed for. But, you know, we as human beings do not like to be penned in, right? So that's.
No, we don't. And I mean, I can see that for myself, like when I really am tied to the dream, it goes back to how you started. When I really am tied to the dream, I make it happen. Like it gets there.
Exactly.
And I get past the chicken, and I can do it.
Yes.
So maybe I just need to rework my what my body dream is.
Well, that would be one thing that would be really powerful. And then just know that this is a system that's usable where you're not finding it easy to happen anyway. That's the point, right? It's not necessarily easily happening. So you've got a mechanism for you to have something happen where you need some support in it. So that's what it's designed for.
Yeah.
It's great. Thank you. Good. Who else? What are you noticing from the conversation? What are you seeing? Aaron, did you have your hand raised? I can't tell.
I had it, but not to that question. Just I didn't know if it was appropriate.
Sure.
Since talking about weight, was it appropriate to plug some other thing that I heard on another call? Or...
Sure. If it's quick, sure.
Okay, so Lori, in the morning, yesterday I had a whole thing about weight.
Yes.
So we could plug Lori's call.
Oh, yeah.
Work good.
Yeah, so we're big fans of Mark Hyman's 10-day detox. It's been very successful. I know that Lori has used it, so that would be one thing. But I think this is more about the mechanism that she's got the issue, not so much the actual thing.
Yes.
But yeah, okay, good. All right, good. So who else? Anything else that you're seeing? Yeah, please, Cindy.
Maybe I just have a quick question. I was thinking I would like to share this with other students.
Yes.
And give them the opportunity if they're interested in having
Totally.
a tool. I'm wondering if you had a template of some sort of an email that just says, hey, you know, here's this discount right now.
Yep.
And we're offering this, and I could just do a, you know, quick email to those students.
Yep. You got it. We will get that to you. And we're going to be sending out a link, right? For number one, you can get, if you want to get the tips, the executive summary of the call. I wanted to do it in a way that wasn't a PowerPoint, so that it was more interactive. So, but you can get that. You can put your email in there, and then you can send that to anyone. You can send the link to students with the discount as well. And then also the recording, if people want to get the recording, if they're people that you think should have been on this call or should know about this, we'll put a link to get the recording as well. So that you have.
Would that also be something that administrators, like I'm also thinking there are some administrators that would be interested in this, maybe using it for their athletes or their students. So
totally.
If it could help me tee it up and send it out, that would be wonderful.
Awesome. I would be happy to do that. No problem. Thank you. Thank you for always dreaming, creating. It's the best. Cool. Anybody else that want to share, or that you want to also share? I mean, Juliana shared what she was going to do in the chat, so thank you for doing that. But, you know, and, you know, it's good for you to actually share what you're doing so that you're actually taking it on actively. And Erica, anything you want to share? Putting you on spot.
I'm sorry, I'm having trouble unmuting myself. No, not at this time, but this has been very informative. I've appreciated this conversation this morning.
Terrific. Very good. So glad that you were here. Good. All right, good. So I'm going to stay on for a little bit if anybody has any questions that they want to ask me or Jenny or Maddie. And other than that, I will, give you 10 minutes back into your day. I really appreciate all of you for being here. We'll follow up with links to, the executive summary, to the recording, to the offer, and then you'll have all of that as tools, right? So I really thank you for being here, and I really hope that you walked away with something of use for yourself, with tools to take away, and to new insights into how to make your dreams happen. And then therefore you can go give that to students, which is, the name of the game, right? We're in here working on ourselves so that we can create something in the world of education. So I just thank you all for participating and being committed to that, because it's huge. Bye, Cindy. Great. Bye, Juliana.
Thank you, Gaby. Thank
You're
you,
welcome.
Jenny. Thank you,
You're
Madison.
welcome. Bye, Mariana.
I think
Thank
Madison
you.
was the unsung hero that got me on, right? I thought I would have a little hard time getting me on. Okay, take care.
Bye-bye.
Happy Mother's Day.
Oh, thank you so much. Yes, happy
Erica,
Mother's Day.
thank you for
folks.
coming.
Thank you, Aaron.
Thank you. Thank
Great.
you. For
Erica, did you have any other questions for us? Sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off, Aaron. There she goes. I'll definitely send some information around. And I'm from Highland Park, so whenever I see SMU, I'm pretty excited.
Thank you very much, guys. Bye-bye.
Quite welcome. Take care. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Good. And now, Maddie, you can stop the recording.